So we're doing a little pan repair in the shower. I've taken the glass doors off, revealing that the curb here is pretty flat, some standing water on it here. So we're going to improve that, improve the height of it. I just started beating into the top here, and not too sure what's going on. Looks like they've glued tiles right to wood. Sitting down, we'll get into it. Looks a little saturated, but just thin set. Top of wood. I guess oh, that's a metal pan right there. That is a metal pan right there. Alright, a copper pan down here, and they've mortared right to the copper pan. But here's the drain, and the weep holes are nowhere to be found. Generally in this old style, we would, the drain would be considerably lower. There would be, about 2 inches of mortar here. But we would put, some kind of either crushed gravel or a rock around the weep holes, or a fiber membrane to let water pass through the tile, through the mortar. Actually, mortar is not, grout is not waterproof, and as it weeps through and into the pan, it would go eventually into the drain. But this isn't the case, so at this point, the pan's coming up. There's no mortar bed, and I think the only thing that was going on, if you see and hear what's happening here, this pan is just floating on top of the wood surface. So it allowed the mortar, well, the thin set and tiles to crack. I'm not too sure how much of a pitch is on it. Again, the weep holes are all plugged up, but I think the main issue was the pan. So I think still got to take this copper pan out. It's just it can't be floating like that. It's got to be a little more secure, either with a really strong, thick mortar bed sitting on a waterproof membrane. Well, I've revealed the first 2 courses of tile going up the wall, and the copper pan, which has its seams right here too, certainly goes up the wall far enough. I still haven't reached the top of it. I'm thinking I'm just going to stop there. I'm just going to wrap try to get my membrane underneath what's remaining of the copper. Well, maybe have to take off another course. I'm not too sure yet. Exploring the drain, I still don't see any signs of weep holes. I've barely exposed the bolts here, the 3 bolts that hold it down. And those weep holes are in here somewhere. So we'll have to see. So popping the floor out of this corner here, we're starting to reveal a lot of wet mortar. And the pan is saturated, so I think the pan wasn't sloped properly either. Yeah, this is all saturated in here. So just pop the curb. This is kind of typical. You got it running up the wall about 6-8 inches, the metal. Of course, the curb, it's only running up about 1.5 inches. And where these miter joints join on that marble cap, it's been penetrating through, so the mortar bed beneath it that they applied, looks like it's, they screwed on, beautiful Dura-Rock, which we really hate. It's our nemesis. They screwed that right on top of the wood, so the wood underneath is starting to fail. And this job, and it's saturated, this job is not that old. I'm thinking it's only done within the last 10 years or so. Well, I stand corrected. It looks like they do have the copper wrapped around the curb here. It's just that it's got some kind of a sealer on the top for some reason. It still doesn't explain this corner here. It looks like the metal stops right here, and they just flapped it down, so this corner has been kind of exposed over the years. Something else we'll need to address. Okay, we're revealing the copper pan here, and I've thrown the laser up there just to see what we got. It looks like I'm about 3.5 at the drain. Of course, that's at the weep holes. And then over on the edge here, I'm about 3.25. So there is some slope on this guy. Yeah, it's about 3.25 back there too, and this corner is about 3. Let's see what this corner looks like. About 3, 3 1/8. So there is slope on it. I'm thinking maybe if we just improve that drain, we could put a mortar bed down and go from there. That's my thoughts. It's still loose though, so it must be loose on some mortar. But it seems like it's tight, and they have some black building paper or tar paper in there. So we'll see. Well, a couple things. One, I finally found a weep hole. It's right there, and it is just full of mortar and something else. It looks like there's actually some sealer. Oh, the sealer they use to seal the copper to the flange. So I'm going back and forth whether just to leave the pan, it's a good pan, and put a proper mortar bed on top, a heavy mortar bed, to take care of that, and then raise the curb. It looks like they just bent the metal flashing over the corner here, so these corners weren't protected, and then these corners as well weren't protected. However, I'd have to raise the drain. If I put, it's got a proper slope, if I put a nice 3/4 mortar bed on there, that's going to have to come up. So, what to do. So we got the flange up finally after some persuasion, but as you could see, there isn't any way water could have got down inside there. That's one of the holes right there. That is, there it is exposed. Looks like they put some silicone around it. So while their intentions were good, and got this pan in there, very common, I've seen it a lot, where the weep holes get blocked. Still, God, everything was going good here with this installation, except they didn't put a proper mortar bed on top, and they didn't provide a way for the moisture that leaches through, that's why the pan's here, to get into the drain. So water just stayed on top, saturating the thin set that was on top and popping the tiles. As you saw earlier, the tiles were only on maybe about a 1/2 inch of thin set placed directly on here. So I'm just surprised that they went to the trouble of putting the copper down, which is costly, doing some things well and then missing the mark on some other things. This curb is too low, a little too narrow in my opinion, although I'm not a big fan of big fat curbs. But the fact that the corners weren't flashed properly. This one here is a good one. So I'm thinking we're just going to have to pull this guy.